Hey folks, this is Brian. I'm at my wit's end. I have been having all kinds of audio issues the past couple of weeks. We had our game last night, but I wasn't able to capture it because the screen capture software wasn't getting my audio. I have no idea what's going on. And then this morning, trying to record this, mic wasn't picking up any noise either. Testing the microphone, it seemed to work fine. No voice recordings, they worked good, but this picture video stuff just wasn't doing it. I ended up just doing a reboot. That seemed to fix it. So we'll see how that goes. Well, anyway, our session last night was unfortunately very short. I had we lost William. Excuse me. He got a new job, and so it was conflicting with stuff. So he dropped out. So I reached out to a couple other folks that had mentioned interest, or maybe I just shot out a blanket to the RQG players Facebook page or something. But anyway, I got two new players that jumped in and said, "Hey, yeah, I'd like to play." One of them was willing to take over William's character, which is good because that noble kind of holds the whole party together, which is an issue that Todd at Chaosium ran into with his home game. Same sort of thing. They had a noble, a PC who was a noble, and he ended up getting killed. The noble was holding the whole party together. Yeah, what you do when you have a social game, right? Well, anyway, David was willing to take him on, but David had all kinds of problems trying to get into our Google Hangouts last night. Eventually, we managed to get everybody in together. But one of my players was on vacation, and he didn't take his dice with him, but he's going to just listen in, and make comments, that kind of thing. But he was not able to get into the chat or the video call that all the rest of us were in. And so we tried to go back to where we were before, and then we ended up losing David. It was a mess. But anyway, throughout all of that, I initiated the session a couple of times. We left off last time where Ferran, the Orlanthe farmer, was his turn to watch the ransom reply notice, so they could try and spy who got it, and then see if they can like follow them and get some intel that way. But he missed his rolls, and so he didn't see who took the note, and the note was gone. So eventually they get back together. They go and find Lorand at the temple. He eventually comes back out, and they talk. Well, thanks for trying, kind of thing. He's pretty much washed his hands of this deal. And the temple simply wants to get their archer back. So they're willing to just play along. Other things happen. So later on that day, the temple gets a reply note saying, "Okay, meet at place X at time Y, and we'll do the exchange." So the light captain at that point takes that piece over because they want to make sure that they're taking care of the archer and make the exchange happen properly within parameters, but be able to take action if they needed to, because the light captain's a rune level character. So all this happens, off screen. The party gets kind of back briefed on it when Lorand says, "Yeah, yesterday the light captain went out there." And there was a point where though the party was thinking, maybe we should just follow the light captain and do our own little reconnaissance. But after discussing back and forth, hey, let's just not muddy the waters. So the exchange happened. No issues there. The kidnapper had set up a wall of darkness that they were hiding behind in this gully kind of thing. And then when the light captain showed up with the murderer, the archer comes walking out. And so they, cross paths, and light captain gets the archer, and the murderer goes through the dark wall, and those folks disappear. And that pretty much wraps up the scenario. There's still like 4 days left of the festival, and I had laying out, scheduled a number of different activities for the fair part of the festival. Initially, there was that horse race. That's where Jasava, forgot her name, was kidnapped from. And then the day that the party was running around doing stuff, there was a jousting going on. I sort of just made that more of a tournament. I don't see Orlantha actually jousting, but definitely, tournaments and that kind of stuff. And then the day of the exchange was wrestling, and so they had opportunity to do, skill of wits, skill of agility, um, and then the last day was the choice of the Queen of Love and Beauty, who was, selected throughout the process, and she chose dancing or singing. So the party went ahead and did the contest of wits, and one of the party members did the contest of agility, and then they both tried doing the singing and dancing. Excuse me, got some congestion going on. I just kind of abstracted this out. I had a who would be the best person there kind of thing, but you're talking about thousands. Well, maybe thousands of contestants, hundreds of contestants though, right? Because you got tens of thousands of people here, and so what are the odds of a PC actually getting anywhere? So it's kind of set up. We did a contested roles and did successes versus failures compilation, a couple of extra roles if there were ties, that kind of thing. But getting a satisfactory ending did not really occur. I mean, go for X number of rounds. I rolled a D6. You get to do. You have a D6 worth of chances to participate. But towards the end, the shaman's singing is really high, and so I actually had him win a prize purse. He actually won the majority of those competitions I rolled, and so I let him win 3d6 times 5 lunars. It ended up being 60 lunars. It was a little prize purse kind of thing. That's something I'm going to have to look into more, or maybe dig into Sundome County, because that's where I pulled that from. Actually, that's one of the scenarios in the back. There's a wedding thing going on, and so there's all these contests. But if I remember right, that had contests against specific people, so you actually had real competition rather than there were so many folks here. That's odds of getting anywhere decent is minimal. Okay, my plan was after closing up chapter 1 was to go ahead and do a season turn, and then do a little Q&A, so I could share with them what I'm doing behind the screen. But they had some questions and that kind of thing, and I went afterwards and kind of outlined some of the stuff that was happening, but they didn't really seem to be that interested in delving into that kind of stuff. So maybe I'll try it again. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then I was prepped up to start chapter 2, but because all this tech issues we had and everything going on, and in fact, we didn't even get to do the season turn because one of my players, in order to try to keep his laptop cool, was outside, but the wind was blowing too high. His umbrella thing came flying. His barbecue table kept flying away, so he cut out. Oh, so we'll start our next session with the season turn or season phase. I don't know what to call that. But in reading through the RQG book, the core book, you get to do your experience checks. Everybody does that. And then you can select 4 of your occupation or cult skills and essentially give them experience checks and roll those, right? But there's or you can train, or you can research, or you can do stuff with characteristics, except for power. Power you get to do because there's worship services. And plus you get power gain rolls from the spells and stuff. But you can research or train your characteristics, which takes 2 seasons instead of just 1. Again, it's all or. And Bruce, one of my players, is actually playing in Todd's game. So that when they did that, they did them all, and that makes much more sense to me. Because if I'm looking at, you only got, a 3% increase in 4 skills in a season, and those are check skill rolls. So the higher and higher your skill is, the less and less chance you have of actually learning something. So at 50%, you're going to end up maybe with, 14% over a whole year. Now, but then if you do that, you have no stat increases at all, and you can only learn occupation and cult skills. So I think I'll go ahead and do what Todd and Bruce had done, and let them do all of that, and we'll see how that rolls. This also brought up and one of the comments one of the players had about feeling completely outgunned by the baboons was because I don't just write out each baboon. I use a spreadsheet. I randomize, so their stats are all random, and then I've got an age and a leveling mechanism tied in. So the older you are, the higher your skills are, and if you actually have some experience, you've done things, it increases your skills as well. And trying to figure out how long it would take for somebody to reach rune level, and that conversation about the baboons outgunning them, I started thinking, maybe, well, I'm going to reinvestigate how I'm doing this leveling thing. Because I was looking at, a PC is 21 years old. They get initiated at 16. That's a 5-year span. And during that 5-year span, they're getting their occupation skills. In some cases, that's 30%. That's 6% a year. And if you're, another 5 years, that's, another 30%. And it kind of gets out of whack. And I've got some mechanisms to adjust those things where you get close to 100. Or actually, once you get over 75, I've got adjusting mechanisms. But there seemed too much of a bulk. So I'm going to reinvestigate how I'm doing that to help smooth that down and lower it some. I try to do some kind of leveling mechanism. Maybe I should do a different video with this one instead of my recapture. I'm not going to edit it out. Don't worry about it. Well, anyway, happy gaming.